This is the face of an Anglo-Saxon warrior, a helmet found in the excavation of a ship burial in 1939 in Sutton Hoo. It was made of iron, the helmet, and the iron hasn't survived very well. In fact, in the ship burial, everything organic has been lost. So we haven't found the body, we haven't found clothes, we haven't found foodstuffs. The iron, most of it has rusted away, but we have found sufficient to give us a wonderful education into the practices. It's from, as I say, the first half of the 7th century. We're not hugely specific, but it's probably closer to 650 than it is to 600. This is a reconstruction. We have got the crackly bits are the bits that were found. The plain bits are the ones that have been sort of the frame on which it's been stuck on. We can have a look here. This is the Google view of this. So yes, I will encourage you to go to Google and search. There is a full sort of reconstruction of what it might have looked like. Quite shiny, actually. I'm not sure it would have been this shiny, but there you go. With images and patterns on it. When it was put into the grave, it fastens under the chin, protects the face, protects the side of the face. More ceremonial probably than practical. It also gives you a sense of what was found in the ship burial. We have got objects from across Europe. So there is amber and objects from Scandinavia. There is stuff from the Eastern Mediterranean, so modern day Turkey, that has come in. There are remains of musical instruments. There are bowls. There is gold and silver. It is an incredibly impressive hall. If we just look at this in slightly more detail, so these are the bits that have survived, reconstructed some way by the experts at the British Museum. But the nose piece and the eyebrows and the ridge of the helmet are made from non-ferrous materials. And if you look, this is a bird. These are wings. You might just see feathers on it. It has got garnets for eyes. And this is the body of the bird that represents the nose. And coming over the top is some sort of serpent. There are other garnets for eyes there. So it's either a bird or some sort of flying serpent that is the eyebrows and the nose piece meeting something else coming across. And you won't see this on the photo unless you've got a very big screen. But at the corners of these eyebrows here, there are little boar's heads. So all of these with a huge amount of significance in the Anglo-Saxon world. Just to give you an idea of where that is, so Sutton Hoo, by the coast, it's in a place called East Anglia. So the counties of Suffolk and Norfolk, the South Folk and the North Folk. Here, in the bit that juts out into the North Sea. And at the time that this was done, a lot of this area is waterlogged, is flooded. Later on, it is engineered. We have things called the fens. We have got dikes and rivers and flows that reclaims the land. But Sutton Hoo by the coast, and it is a ship burial for probably a local king, and the evidence, there are coins that have been found within the grave that help to give an earliest possible time for it. It is of a local king called Radwald. It is possibly his grandson, but Radwald is the main name in the frame. And the ship burial, these were not uncommon. Quite a few have been found in Scandinavia, and some in the continent. It represents your goods that you are taking into the afterlife. You are being sailed off into the afterlife, and your goods and treasures are left with you, so that you have got this to take into the next life with you, and people will treat you with the respect you deserve when you get there. Some of these things that are in the grave completely blow away that belief, if it was still existing, that this was a time of uncultured people, of wildness, of barbarity. We have got wonderful workings of gold, bronze, copper, this enamel work. This is a gold belt buckle, by the way, and look at the patterning on that. It's absolutely gorgeous. These were shoulder clasps on some sort of tunic that has gone. This is enamel, but it's not enamel made from molten glass. It is semi-precious stones, are red as garnets, that have been cut and put into this sort of frame to hold it all together. And look how, I mean, the work on that is just stupendous, that is there. And if we look at this one here, this is the lid of a purse. So this would have been on a belt. There would have been a leather pouch, and that's where the coins were found, with a wooden lid to it that had been decorated with this fantastic garnet design. So you've got the gold frame with the garnet within it, and I've got a more sort of high-res photo of it here that we can zoom in on to show you some of the detail. It's sort of mirror image of each other, but look at the middle here. This is a bird and some sort of hawk, whether it's a hunting hawk or whether it's an observation from nature. The bird has caught the pigeon, whatever it is, as part of the hunt, and is about to devour it. You have got a man over here, probably being, well, something is happening with two dogs or wolves. He is either attacking them or he is holding them off, and those on both sides as well. And then again, oops, sorry. The wonderful detailing and the patterning in the object above here. The amount of work that has gone in to creating this. We are dealing with someone who was a supreme craftsperson to be able to put this together. And as I say, it blows a hole in any sort of thought that this was not a time of high culture. We may not know enough about it as we would wish, but it is a rich cultural experience that's going on. It was excavated in 1939. There is now a museum there you can go and visit. It's one of the things on my list of places I must go to. And it was found on the land of a woman called Edith Pretty. She owned this land and there were mounds on it, and she got in the local archaeologist called Basil Brown to excavate it. This stuff is what's known as treasure trove. It's precious materials. It was found on her land. It was grave goods. So after its excavation, it belonged to her. And what she could have done was sold it off. If she could have done anything with it, she could have given it to her children. She could have thrown it in a lake, but she could have sold it off piecemeal. What she did was give it all, give the entire findings to the British Museum, and that is what's in the British Museum and in the Sutton Hoo Museum. And that's the reason I always mention her name, because we are so lucky that she felt that it was so important that other people ought to share it. So remember the name Edith Pretty, and if you go to Sutton Hoo or if you go to the British Museum, give up a small prayer to Edith Pretty when you look at it, because it's entirely down to her that we can see these wonderful objects in the museum.